So we got a small group this time. I'm wondering if maybe I should post something to the WhatsApp group. Maybe we can get a few more people.
I wanted, before you do, I just wanted to, this may not be appropriate this week, but, the last couple of weeks I suggested maybe doing a deep dive on a website that's established. I suggested one and recording it. The reason being,
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
right.
yeah, the reason being is that if you, and this may even be, I'm in no hurry for this, so this can be the back burner issue, but that one website I went to that I showed you last time was sort of maybe even, doing like a 15-minute one where you've had some time to maybe do some detailed, analysis of it and do a really sharp critique of it in a very sort of candid way. And that could be like your lead magnet for saying, you think your website is good enough? Review this and see how many of the mistakes you are making on your website and how to correct them and optimize search engine optimization, something along those lines, just a hook. And, I think, the more, the less ignorant I become, so to speak, the more I appreciate the work that goes behind this that people don't even know about. So they don't know that they're ignorant. And unconscious incompetence is the most dangerous form of incompetence.
Yeah.
You got to raise them up that extra notch and say, I'm consciously incompetent and I'm so well aware of it, but I'm not sure of the depth of it. So I think that's one of the transitions that you need to see if you can, how to hook people in, and maybe even speaking with John Livesay, who might be able to help you pitch your pitch, so to speak. Because yesterday I listened to him speak, and he was in the zone yesterday. Sometimes, and he was just, John well, so, but something along those lines, how to create the pitch to get people to make them aware of how incompetent they really are. I mean,
in an empowering way, right?
exactly. Not in a put down way. No. Come on, guys. We want to elevate you. We want to elevate you. But anyway,
sure.
I mean, we could do a little bit this time, but I want to put this, I think the needs of the group need to go first. But I mean, if the idea captures your imagination, I don't want to put anything forward that isn't in your self-interest, so to speak, in terms of, and if it resonates with you, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. So,
well, I'm just here to serve. And if there's some value that you can derive from me reviewing that website, I'm happy to do it.
Well, that would be great, but I would flip it the other side. I think co-elevation works better in the sense that, it's a circular process. So if there's if something like this captures your, I think this, like I know when I do impromptu critiques of things, it's not the same as, and you may be too busy to even take this on, but I'm just saying if you did, like the top 10, this routine, the top worst mistakes you can do on the top 10, best things. I'm sure you've already got somebody written along those lines, but how to sort of, capture it in a short way that can be done in as little time as possible, that people say, you're my man, I need to go to you.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. The idea of co-elevation I really like. I'm a fan of Keith Ferrazzi's for sure. I also believe in karma and business karma too. And that if you're just giving without an agenda,
right,
the universe rewards you. You get blessings showered on you, and
because people speak well of you. I mean, that's the thing. They say, oh, Stephan does an amazing job at this. That's the best advertising. You have volunteer ambassadors. I feel like I'm a volunteer ambassador for you, because I feel like I've got so much to learn from you, and I don't even know how ignorant I am.
Well, I appreciate your ambassadorship. It's like, if you, again, if you're giving without an intention or an agenda to receive in return,
right,
then the blessings come from the universe. That's my belief. So for
Yeah.
example, let's say that, to take something completely non-digital as an example, you're walking down the street, you give a homeless person some money, and the guy's really rude to you and kind of spits at you, and you are not just unfazed by that, you're you're totally cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're just coming from a place of unconditional love. That person
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to respond in any particular way. Whereas if you were looking for a nice thank you or any kind of positive response or whatever, that's all you get. But if you're
Yep.
not, if all you're looking for is the light of the creator, and they could spit at you and it's of no consequence, then that's what you get is the blessings from the creator. Like, this is, I think, how it works. If all you are seeking is the approval of the homeless person or their gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty weak.
Yeah.
It pales in comparison to what you could have gotten if you had just released that attachment to the person responding in a particular way. So that's how I look at not just walking down the street and giving money to somebody, but also in life in general. If I'm just giving without an agenda,
Yeah.
the universe just showers blessings on me. It's nonstop. It's amazing. I'm in awe of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Gary, do you have something that you wanted to bring up?
No, I'm just here to fill my brain because I'm knowledge. I know how ignorant I am, and I'm trying to remedy that. So take it away, Rick.
Well, I don't know if I'm on my phone, so I can't, have the same sort of experience because of that. But it was the web. If you want to do it, it's the website, which is the World Health Innovation Summit. I think it's WHIS.UK.
Okay. So why don't I start by typing in World Health Organization.
Innovation Summit.
Oh, innovation. Sorry.
Summit.
Innovation Summit.
Yeah. I think it's
As
WISC.UK.
WIS.UK.
Yeah. .UK. Yeah.
Or WISIC for short. Okay, cool. I have it here. I'll share my screen and we will just begin, see where it leads. And I will post the video on my channel so that you can access it later on a bigger screen and
Okay.
see everything that I went
Well, I can
through.
still see you. I think I'll be able to see it, but it won't be as good, obviously.
Yeah, it'll be pretty small.
Yeah.
You'll get the mobile version too, probably, Rick, if there is one.
Well, it'll just make everything small.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is a search for World Health Innovation Summit. You can see there's no knowledge panel over on the right-hand side, so that's a real missed opportunity. And it also is a credibility hit. If I put in just as an unfair comparison, World Health Organization, they have a knowledge panel. Look at that. Logos and everything. Anyway, so comparing the World Health Organization is, as I said, an unfair comparison, but you can see this is a really well built out knowledge panel with a whole description pulled from Wikipedia, a bunch of data points, social chiclets, and the only thing that's missing, it's not applicable here, but if the organization had, let's say, books that they published or whatever, then like you've put in my name, you'll see I've got books associated with my knowledge panel. is pretty cool. And photos and all that. So yeah, this would be really good to have. It's called a knowledge panel. Also, think of the first page of search results as the first impression. This is the first thing that a Google searcher or just a researcher in general, a potential prospect, is going to see. They're not going to end up directly on the whisk.uk website because they don't know the URL probably. So they're going to Google it. And this is the first impression. If it's not impressive, it's just, oh, Facebook and LinkedIn. And it's not like a feature story in Forbes magazine or something about the World Health Innovation Summit or some other big news outlet or media outlet. That would be very credibility building to have something like that ranked highly on the first page. Okay, so let's go to, notice also it just says home WIS. That's the title tag of the most important page of the site, the home page. And it's completely devoid of keywords. So there's no SEO going on here. Pretty clear that there's nothing being done from an SEO perspective. Because if that very obvious low-hanging fruit is left unattended to, then imagine what else is broken and misconfigured. Let's go ahead and go check out the site. So something I've talked about multiple times, how sliders are conversion killers. Just to refresh you guys' memory, here's a piece on that quotes a number of subject matter experts in the area of conversion who all agree that sliders or carousels are conversion killers. Chris Goward, Tim Ash, these are people with multiple books on the topic of optimizing your conversion rate, and they all agree, don't do it. Do not do sliders, do not do carousels like this, where it just goes
Stephan,
to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
So can I dig a little deeper on that? So
yeah,
why does it kill conversion? What's
cognitive load?
Okay, so it's too many visuals, too many images, distracting, or it makes you sit here and watch. Okay, because I get this all the time from clients is I have 7 photos. I want to show them all. And we used to do this all the time. And I've learned, I've taken I've taken it as fact that it's a bad thing, but I never really understood.
Yeah.
So it's overloading your brain with visuals, most of which don't mean anything, or a lot of which don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So if you had to show 7 photos on the home screen, would you simply say, no, pick one? Or would you make like a mosaic or a grid of photos?
Yeah. So clarity is king, not content, but clarity.
Okay.
What is the next action we're trying to get the user to take?
Got it.
If it's simply show them these 7 photos and I'm happy. Well, that's, kind of lame.
Right. Okay.
If it's, well, I want them to sign up for our free ebook. It's like, well, having
show
a
them
whole
an
bunch of photos
action
about completely different things, how does that all lead? It's not all roads lead to Rome. It's like there's 7 photos leading to different things, and none of those lead to the ebook. And you have some separate thing that's like a little call out box or something further down the page. How is that helping drive all these people to opt in for the ebook?
So just to play
what's
devil's,
the end game?
Yeah. So just to play devil's advocate and tell you what I'm hearing from clients, and I know you hear this too, is, well, we're trying to build our brand. We're trying to make the client, the visitor, feel something. We're trying to create an impression in their mind. We're trying to paint a picture for them. So it's not as, they don't want it to be as tactical as getting them to a button, getting them to a call to action.
Yeah.
And
Well, then I can get very strategic with them and say, well, look, what's the hero's journey look like for that visitor? Because they're
right.
the hero.
Right.
You're just the guide. You're Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda. You're not Luke Skywalker. They are. So how do those 7 photos lead them on that hero's journey and make it clear that you're just the guide and you're the one who's going to get them to the hero end game of blowing up the Death Star or whatever it is? How do those 7 photos help with that? And I might be going, that's a very good question.
It gets, the brand people, get all philosophical at that point. And so it's balancing them trying to prove subjectively that making a visitor feel this way will make them more likely to engage. And it's often BS that we get from brand people all the time. So,
yeah. So
okay,
my argument for like the hypothetical person at WIS who's arguing like these photos convey the breadth of what we do. It's very important that they know that we work with the elderly and with young kids, and that we have not just a newsletter, but an actual journal, and that we're involved in research. And this is how we do it. I'm like, well, that's not how the biggest brands in the world do it. How many of the biggest brands in the world that have much greater depth and breadth than you do convey it without using a slider?
got it.
Yeah, could I just chime in here, just to sort of give a little bit of direction to this? If I were coming to the site, this is what I'd be looking for, and I think this is the attractor for it. This group are working on the Sustainable Development Goals, and in November there's going to be the 26th COP agreement. That's going to conference. It's going to be held in Glasgow. It's all to do with climate, the climate crisis. It's not just climate, though. It's health more broadly, and it touches on the issue of inequity. So this is the reason why I'm so interested in the site. So my hero's journey that I'd be looking for, can I join a learning community where we can go on the hero's journey together? So if I were in their situation, I'd be looking for, how can I get people to say, wow, this is a group I want to belong to, because I can join a movement of people who want to take on the hero's journey that goes beyond climate change. So, I mean, I'd be looking for instant conversion. Sign up here. These are the benefits. This is what you'll get out of this learning community by joining it. You'll get podcast. You'll get learning opportunities. You can join a learning community. You can find your niche, so to speak, of a particular area that you want to. So it's really, it's to create a gathering of kindred spirits who can come together and do a better job than Clubhouse is doing. I'm Rick, and I'm done speaking. How does that sound?
Well, that's great. Yeah, it makes sense. And I don't have any sense of what this organization does from just viewing this homepage and watching these slides go by one after another. I have no idea what this organization does until you have described some of the potential opportunities that a visitor has by coming here. That was news to me. I don't know what supporting the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals means. That sounds like gibberish. It's not even grammatically correct. what are the sustainable development goals, as if there's a specific set that the whole world has agreed on.
Well, there is actually. It's the United Nations 17. I mean, the people in the know this stuff. So if you say, you don't know, but this is sort of speaking to the converted, and so people, what that means. But if as part of that, I mean, I would suggest that on their front page here, they need to say what their mission is. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals has a logo, and that has a little infographic of the 17 goals that people would recognize. So I'm just trying to give you some contextual information that might inform, how, I can't say what their true purpose is. I'm just talking off the top of my head. It's a question of what they're about. What is the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which have been around for quite a while, and they're not making very good progress on it, by the way, no surprise. So it's sort of an organization that's separate to the COP agreement. And it's like there's many other organizations like this that are trying to get into this space of, call it what you may, One Shared World is another organization that is doing something along this line.
Okay.
So
yeah, it would have been for them to have asked some people who are not insiders for their input, I think would have been a good idea.
Oh, I agree with you. I think it's critically important. And I think, it's about languaging and pitching. You're going to get the insiders, but how can you get the outsiders saying, I mean, there's two audiences there. The insiders who really are the sort of, who want to take on the hero's journey. And then there's the potential followers who are saying, I want to follow these leaders, in the different dimensions that they might go in. So I think both and works better. And I think making it, as you go back to your original thing about clarity, how can you create that clarity at the beginning in a way that's compelling, that you can capture their emails and, share, do more of a deep dive and feed them things that that would enable them to take on the hero's journey.
Yeah. It's not clear what the organization does so far.
Yeah. Well, you might have to dig a little bit further, and I can't read the tabs, so I'm disadvantaged because I can't see it very well. But carry on with the critique.
Yeah, one of my favorite first UX design books was called "Don't Make Me Think." Steve Krug.
Steve Krug.
Yes.
I love it.
And so I'm glad John joined because it's relevant to this question. So Stephan, the website exists at 4:00 in the morning, and you're not there to explain it, and you don't know who's coming by. How much thought do you put into who comes to the site? Because anybody can come to this site. They might be Rick, they might be me. And we have completely different awareness and knowledge of all this stuff. Yeah. John's website, someone's probably looking for Thai food. I mean, it's probably safer to assume that more people know what's going to be at that website. But this website is far less defined by nature. How much can you assume?
The target audiences can be quite varied for a website like this. So I would recommend a persona development exercise. And once you have identified a handful of personas, I'd say no more than seven different stakeholder groups. Like, okay, these are people who are journalists, the media, and they would be potentially contacting WIS to get a quote or a stat or I don't know, an expert interview or something like that. So that's one persona. Another might be people who are in governments around the world who are trying to meet their commitments to whatever sort of climate agreements or whatever else, and they're looking for resources or colleagues or research or whatever, right? And then there might be 3, 4, 5 other personas. Fleshing that out will give you a much better sense for who this website is for and how much education you need to do about what you guys do. But the idea of the 3-second rule is critical here. You've got 3 seconds to convey to somebody who's not familiar with your organization, when they first visit, what do you do? What's in it for me? In other words, why should I care? And finally, what do I do next? In 3 seconds, without having to scroll around or click around a bunch of things. How can I ascertain those 3 things within 3 seconds?
And just a follow-up comment to that, Stephan, in your work, do you actually help people identify their up to 7 personas? Is that part of your work, or are you just on the search engine optimization?
Yep. I've done a number of personas. Another term for it is a client avatar. Yep.
Yeah.
Figuring out what their fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations are for that target audience, for that persona. And then also demographics and the internal problem as well as the external problem, the unspoken problem, in other words.
Yeah, Rick, it's one of the first things we ask as designers is show me the personas because you wanted me to draw a picture. Yeah, that's the first question I'm going to ask is who am I talking to and what are we trying to get them to do? And if you can't give me that information, it's really hard to even start this process.
Yeah.
Yep.
As I say, some of these are very difficult because they're so broad reaching and like I say, John may have a couple of personas. This organization may have at least 7 as a designer. Oh man, I gotta satisfy 7 people. That's so many. That's hard.
I'd
rather
much
design
better
John's
to have
website.
1.
Yeah. Just 1's great. 7. Oh, in 3 seconds, you got to tell 7 different people what they're there for. That's tough.
Yeah, it is.
And if you scroll down that site, it gets to all these things that Rick was talking about, but boy, they're not above the fold and they're not in the first 3 seconds.
Yeah, you have to be an investigative reporter or a private detective to piece all that together. Okay, this is an article on Medium that I thought was really cool, the way that they defined these different personas, in this case for security and privacy, like apps or tools. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So it defines the person's expertise level at technology, their different use cases, access locations, threats, etc., where they sit in the spectrum, and it's done as a 4-quadrant analysis there. Needs for privacy and their technical expertise. And this has, I think, 7 or 8 different personas. If you just did one, let's say that you're creating a virtual private network tool, a VPN. Just having one persona would not do it justice because you have people with varying technical and technological levels of expertise and with differing needs, and some travel and some don't. You need to get a bit broader view of your user base. But it does add complexity into the design and implementation process for sure. All right, let's go back here to the home page. So for John and for Andrew, who are just joining, This is the WIS homepage in the UK, which stands for the World Health Innovation Summit. And Rick had asked me to pull this up and critique it. So I've gone through some things already. And now we're heading down below the fold on the homepage. These don't really look like buttons. That's going to hurt the conversion rate on clicking those buttons, or the click-through rate. They don't look clickable. They don't look enticing. They don't look very clear about what you get. I don't understand what the heck WIS Inspire is. Two quote symbols and the words WIS Inspire means nothing to me as a first-time visitor. Yeah. And these are not great headlines. A headline, its only job is to keep people reading. Who is WIS for doesn't excite me to keep reading. What is WIS for? Where is WIS? None of those things make me want to read a whole block of text underneath it. And providing comprehensive long-term solutions for the whole community. This just isn't written in a very enticing way. Who speaks like this? Hey, this is Joe. I just want to talk to you about providing comprehensive long-term solutions for the whole community. Do you got a few minutes?
Hey, guilt is charged. Yeah.
And acronyms are not your friend unless the entire world knows what that acronym is.
Yeah, just
implementing the SDGs.
Yeah, those are the 17 with a slider, and one of that's the slider that's the infographic.
Yeah.
If we have time in the same vein of the SDGs, if we have time left, I have one more page that I would love for you to take a look at. And actually, I showed it to you once already, but
okay.
So that.
All right, sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this slider goes really fast. There's no way I'm going to be able to remember or keep up with what all is being displayed on the screen. So
can I ask you a question on that? This is a slider, and I know your position on sliders, and I read that article.
Yep.
But when you're talking to somebody, specifically in my case, to the head of a nonprofit who wouldn't know conversion if it jumped up and bit him in the ass, how do you explain to them why sliders are a bad idea? Have you had these conversations?
Yes, I have. And I would convey to them that there's it adds significant cognitive load, makes people have to burn a lot of calories in their brain in order to process this. Whereas if we were trying to convey the 17 topics of these 17 sustainable development goals, then we need to display all 17 all at once in one place that doesn't move. There's no way that people are going to retain any of this.
Yeah.
So that's what I would convey. And if they don't believe me, then we'd get some random person off the street, somebody we know or whatever, to try and remember what is sustainable development goal number 9.
Yeah.
After watching this let them watch it for 5 minutes and don't tell them you're going to quiz them on what sustainable development goal number 9 is. Guaranteed they're not going to know what it is.
God, I've been involved with this nonprofit for almost 2 years now, and I don't know what number 9 is. So yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's problematic.
Yeah, the implication by what they're doing there, though, is that they're focusing on goal 3 and 4. I mean, they go 3, 4, and then they show the sustainable. So I'm assuming that that's what they're primarily focusing on. But then it comes back to what you originally said. Well, what's the purpose, the mission, the vision of the organization? You know.
Well, the text does not support your assertion.
No, I know that. I can't.
Yeah.
I realize that, but I'm just saying. I'm just reading the slider and saying, if I'm a little bit in the know, I'm assuming they're only doing, and that rules out anybody else. I mean, it comes back to your avatar. I mean, your persona thing. That your persona has to fit into these two goals.
Yeah, that's interesting. So this button verbiage, implementing SDGs, buttons should be in first person whenever possible. So I read it to myself in my own internal voice, and I'm never going to say to myself, implementing SDGs, and then click on it, right? Give me my free report, or sign me up, or whatever. Like those are the sorts of things that would be examples of good button verbiage, but implementing SDGs is pretty bad. Okay, next section. Attention, coronavirus, COVID-19. What? This looks just like the hokiest stock photo I've ever seen relating to COVID-19. That just makes zero sense to me. That's a real head scratcher.
Oh
okay.
boy, and they do like their sliders.
Yeah, there's sliders everywhere. Make it stop. Okay, what is the point of this section? Remember, a headline's job is to make me want to keep reading. I don't want to keep reading after I see the headline COVID-19. That doesn't give me any context whatsoever. I hear COVID-19 umpteen number of times per day. Give me some more context. And this image is the opposite of context. It's ridiculous. It's hard to take somebody seriously, like a World Health Organization that uses an image like this. All right, next section, Global Social Prescribing Alliance. Unless that's something that a lot of people are familiar with, it's a household name kind of thing. This is not a good headline. This doesn't make me want to keep reading. Whis Talks Live. Again, failure on the part of the headline. Whis Talks Live playlist. Not a button I'd want to click on. How you can support Whis. Boy, the previous parts of the page didn't sell me enough on Whis and its mission, so this is probably not very effective in getting people to whip out their wallet. So that's my guess. And then the Whis podcast. It's about format instead of about value. All the stuff is focusing on the weeds instead of the bigger picture and the forest. Oh, here we go. Another slider. Oh my goodness.
Stephan,
with no time to be able to read this stuff. Like you'd have to be a speed reader of extreme ability to scan through all of that before it scrolls away.
Yeah. Stephan, I want to respect Andrew having some time. So it's about 10 minutes to go. So maybe I think a number of good points have been made, and it deserves. One could go even further and deepen this, but I think there's so many.
I could go on for hours.
I know you could. You're just
Rick, I put a link in the chat. Alex Mendosian, who came and spoke at Metal at one point, does this lengthy expose on how to construct a customer avatar. I found that helpful. So for what it's worth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I know Alex through Genius Network. I've been a Genius Network member for a few years now. Yep.
That's great, Andrew. If you could, unfortunately, I'm on my phone, so I can't.
I'll email it to you. Sure.
Okay, that'd be great. I've got to scoot now anyway, because I have to say goodbye to somebody. So I just want to thank you, Stephan, and I'll send you some feedback comments as well. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, Stephan. Okay.
All
right now.
Yep. All right. So Andrew,
take a look at World Affairs Challenge.
Yep.
And is that okay if I record this?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I would love to see more kind of, I don't know, design style to this. How do I say this, Gary, in a diplomatic way?
Well, you got six different type sizes, 4 colors, 6 blocks. It's a visual organization of content. So everything in one column, it's hard to know where to start reading. Your eyeballs are bouncing all over the place. So you might organize it in 2 columns or just block things off. Everything's on a white background, so it all looks like it has the same importance level. So I don't know where to start. You've got to guide the user's eyes both from an importance perspective and just help them read. So that was a lot of design gobbledygook to say what Stephan said.
No, that was great. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
And it's all center aligned. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, center align has a place, and it's not as, putting everything on the page in center align. It's hard to read. Yeah, and then some of the text is in all caps, and it doesn't have a rhyme or reason as to when it's in all caps and when it's not. Some things that are really small and seem to be not nearly as important are in all caps, where other things are in bigger font size and in just regular initial caps. Do you have a recommendation there, Gary?
Yeah, I recommend, Andrew, you give me a call later. We'll talk about it.
Okay, you got it.
I mean, the problem is, I know you think that, and you probably know that everything is important here. And I love that you've tried to compress it up into above the fold, and you've obviously been listening to Stephan and getting those lessons. Now it's a matter of graphic design, which is help the user read.
Well, so
they can't all be importance number one. That's the problem. And that right now it looks like you're trying to do that.
Good stuff. All right. So what is what's the main next action for our visitor to take?
So I was pushing for the next action to be the donation form, which is right now halfway down the page. So I had it right here at the top. For the time being, it did get pushed down with the reasoning that there is a major grant that is about to be announced. So the organization expects a lot of traffic coming their way. I don't know how warranted that assumption is, but the assumption is that a lot of journalists, a lot of press will be hitting this page, and the action for the press is not to donate, but hopefully to amplify the message, to retransmit the message. So that's an ongoing conversation with the leadership of the organization. I'm on the board, but I'm not a decision maker on this. Or not the decision maker on this anyway.
Gotcha. And were you involved in the layout or design or coding or anything related to the homepage?
I have access to the backend. It runs on Squarespace, so whatever Squarespace permits. The design, the colors, the styles have been defined before I got involved. So now, I had this section that we're looking at right now at the top, and I had the header, the main header on the page read something along the lines of, we believe in a world where every student becomes a good global citizen, join us, and then this text in the forum, and then everything else was below that. It did get pushed down because the chairman believes that, I don't know, soliciting money is wrong somehow. I don't know. Yet it is a nonprofit. So.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay. So, how can I best serve you in these last 3 minutes?
Well, this was already helpful. So the pointers on styles, the colors, the centering. If you can think of any way that I could try to convince them to move the. So, well, let me rephrase that. Let me ask you a question. Assuming the customer avatar for the next iteration is a journalist writing about education and global leadership, what do you think they would want to see, and how do we convey this here to get them to amplify the message, to retransmit the message through their channels? And I realize this is a broad question, so 3 minutes may not be enough.
Probably not, but if you were in the person's shoes that is going to be rebroadcasting the message, what would you say based on visiting this page?
I would get confused and walk away, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would do a little brainstorming around what are the maximum 3 key points that you want to get across that somebody would be able to retell the story. Because the retellability, did you attend that session with oh gosh, I forget the guy's name.
Tim Pollard?
Yeah.
Yeah, I even connected with him afterwards. Yeah.
That was great. I thought he did a fabulous job. And the retellability is where everybody kind of gets it wrong and they don't even think about it. They've got these fancy slide decks and fancy proposals and everything. And they give the person who's their contact a very poor training on retelling, the ability to retell the story of why that company should be hired to all the decision makers and decision influencers. Yeah. So this is just as applicable here in this situation where we've got a retellability problem. Because that journalist or that TV producer or whatever is going to come to this page and they're going to struggle to get those 1, 2, or 3 key bullets out of it in order to retell the story to their whoever decision maker is that decides whether the story is going to go ahead or whatever.
Yep.
To their editor or the newsroom manager or whatever.
Yeah, to the executive producer, whoever makes the decisions. Yep.
Is that something I can rewatch, Stephan? Is there a link?
Yeah.
I think I missed that.
It will be posted, if it hasn't been yet, it will be posted in the Metal portal. And in fact, I kind of promised him, so I will post once it's out, I will repost the link to it in WhatsApp.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that recording too, because I missed the
Thank you.
first 10 minutes or something of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're at time. Pleasure as always, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephan.
Thank you
Yep.
so much.
You bet. See you next week.
All right.
See you.
Okay.
Take care.
Gary, I will call you, or we can coordinate by email. Thank you.